Hello and welcome to Heather's Hacks at Amalgamingle. As a Ni No Kuni enthusiast, I could talk about this game for hours, and in my previous Wrath of the White Witch tip video, I wasn't able to cover everything I wanted to. I discussed how to farm maximum XP, provided some useful tips for alchemy, and I went over stealing Nostrum from Ulks and more. In this video, I want to outline some additional secrets and go into a little bit more detail as we delve deeper into the game. I will also be going over some life-saving hacks for trophy hunters and imparting some post-game wisdom, so there may be some minor spoilers ahead but nothing major. So here we go, here's more things I wish I knew before playing Ni No Kuni Wrath of the White Witch.
Here, take this. It's called the Heart-Winning Harp.
My first entry is choosing familiars and familiar tickets.
Wow, beautiful.
When you reach the Temple of Trials and complete the tests, the sage will allow you to select one of 3 familiars as a reward. Each familiar has certain strengths and you can choose between a Shonky Honker, a Boggly Boo or a Naiad. It is entirely your decision, but I do highly recommend selecting the Naiad because, as it turns out, this familiar is one of the best magical healers in the game, and its poor physical attacks matter not because you will find that battles are better if companions are set to keep us healthy in the battle settings anyway. Mainly because the AI in battle is not that great, so leaving them to their own devices isn't wise. Furthermore, you can tame the Boggly Boo and Shonky Honky yourself in the next segments of the game anyway, because not only do you learn how to tame familiars after the Temple of Trials, but you are also introduced to the Familiar Retreat, which can store up to 400 familiars, so you can go taming crazy. There's also a trophy for taming 250 different species. Additionally, you may not have noticed this because the game doesn't highlight it, but if you look in your bottomless bag at the start, you will see some familiar tickets already in the bag. These tickets can be exchanged for real familiars in the Temple of Trials. One of the familiar tickets is for a Griffey, which is a fantastic familiar with high physical attack power beyond any other familiar you can attain before you set sail into the wider world, as far as I'm aware. Exchange the ticket, level up this familiar, and you will see the difference in battles as the odds seem to naturally sway in your favour with this familiar. Note that I am pretty sure these tickets are only featured in the remastered version of the game, they're not in the original.
Your Honour, we have come to perform the trials.
Continuing on from my last entry, I want to go over the actual trials in the Temple of Trials. There are 3 trials. The Test of Friendship is quite straightforward, where you have to control Oliver and Esther with separate analog sticks along different paths at the same time. Tricky, but simple. There's also a Test of Strength at the end of the trials, but the one that people struggle with is the Test of Wits, which asks you to place statues on the correct tiles using the Puppet Strings spell based on the riddle given. Admittedly, I did not understand the riddles at first, my brain just couldn't figure it out for some reason, so I caved and used a guide for my first playthrough. But for those of you that are struggling, I have in fact already completed a video guide on how to complete this test, but I'll go through how to solve it here. In the third room, place the dragon on the top far right corner on the sun above the moon. Place the bird on the bottom centre right tile on the star. Put the mighty on the top centre left tile and the last statue on the top far left tile. Done. Simple as that. Moving on from the Temple of Trials, well, sort of, I want to talk about the best way to get S rank in the Solosseum Series. The Solosseum Series is a combat tournament with 4 rounds for each rank you enter, where you cannot restore your health or magic using items during or between each round. The Solosseum Series becomes available fairly early in the game, but I advise not trying to complete it until post-game. You will more than likely struggle with even rank D. You will have picked up some impressive powers and perks along the journey. However, those impressive powers and perks will help you very little if you want to get S rank in the Solosseum Series, for which there's a trophy. It is very challenging and took me several tries of adapting my strategy, battle settings and familiars. The best way I have found to achieve S rank is to first max out your party and chosen familiars to level 99 so that they have the highest possible HP and MP. If you follow the advice I gave in my first video about how to farm max MP from battling Tokos, then getting to level 99 should be a breeze. Secondly, make sure your battle companions are set to focus on healing in the battle settings and enable all-out defense. Lastly, choose a primary familiar to fight with that has strong physical attack and Ace Splitter as a magical ability. In the first 2 or 3 rounds, resist the urge to use magical attacks, but if you do, make sure you use magical attacks that cost the least MP like the fire spell. Trust in your companions to heal you, but if they don't, you can always momentarily switch to them to enable healing and grab fallen glimpse. Then, in the last round, you can use a combination of Ace Splitter and physical attacks to whittle down the opponent's health slowly. It's not easy, but it does work. Okay, this next hefty entry is all about the Mad Scientist Trophy, which is awarded for completing 120 unique alchemy formulas, so pretty much completing alchemy to 100%. This trophy is a royal pain in the backside, and it can literally take years of patience and grinding to achieve, so here are a few theories on how to make this trophy seem less impossible. The main issue with this trophy is the sheer volume of rare items needed, namely Kaleidostones and Scrolls of Truth. These items can be farmed from golden familiars that appear in certain locations post-game, or by defeating the post-game Guardian of Worlds over and over again until your head spins. Personally, I think farming golden familiars is a better way of getting what you need, because although the Guardian is a guaranteed respawn that drops 1 of 6 rare items each time, he is not a quick and easy boss fight, even with a maxed out party. By the time you've beaten the Guardian of Worlds, you could have farmed 2 items normally instead of all that hassle for a single item that might not be the item you wanted in the first place. I've had great success farming Kaleidostones from golden bedraggles in the Glittering Grotto just by using Swain's normal mugshot ability. Scrolls of Truth can be farmed here from golden dragon muffins also, but these are harder items to get. The best way to get Scrolls of Truth is to equip a weaker wand, set your party to do nothing in battle settings, enable all-out defense, then spam the enemy with weaker spells like Pulse and defend incoming attacks until the words "nice" appear. Keep doing this until a golden glim appears on the battlefield, then have Swain pick it up and use his Sure Shot miracle move to ensure he steals the rarest item. There are other locations to farm these and other rare items, but the Glittering Grotto is where I've had the best luck. Feel free to try your hand at getting Scrolls of Truth from golden Honky Tonkers in the Tombstone Trail or golden Godfathers in the Miasma Marshes. A good way of keeping track of this trophy is by the icons in the formula menu. If there's a question mark, that means that that formula has not been completed yet. So yes, this Mad Scientist trophy is a complete nightmare. It is my biggest gripe with the game. I doubt they'll patch this, but I personally think that when someone does platinum the game, there should be huge fanfare, where everyone gets a day off work and sets off fireworks, because it is one hell of an achievement. My next entry is all about the hidden chests. There's a trophy for getting all of the hidden chests throughout the world, so be sure to use the chart chests and hidden fortune spells to unveil hidden chest locations. Note that when out in the field, so not in dangerous places or a town, these hidden chests are not actual physical chests, and they also do not refer to the twinkling spots. They will show up on your minimap as chest icons after casting the spell, but don't look for the physical chests outside town and dangerous places, because they're invisible. Just go to the spot it says on the map and press the action button, and Oliver will loot the location as if a chest is there. It's quite strange, but getting all of these chests is a great way to stock up on money and better loot. Some chests within towns, dangerous places and forests may appear to be out of reach, and therefore you will need to use Swain's hookshot ability to get them. Some of these out of reach chests might entail trying to find the correct place to stand in order to prompt Swain to use the hookshot, which can confuse people. An example of this is the green chest in Hamelin that is high up on a building which needs to be hookshotted, if that's even a word, from the lamppost furthest away from it. The Glittering Grotto is also a tricky one, because there are walls you can walk through that shimmer because they are fake. It kind of reminded me of Zelda Ocarina of Time and the Eye of Truth. but some walls have chests behind them and some merely unveil shortcuts, so if you see a shimmering wall in the glittering grotto, then go ahead and walk right through it. Additionally, don't forget to explore the little islands out in the world, even ones that appear to be just covered in forests, because not only will you find interesting loot, but you could stumble upon a forest dwelling, which will have hidden chests in there and also some forest folk that you can speak to. It's definitely worth exploring these islands.
Who goes there?
My last entry is all about revisiting Old Father Oak and hidden alchemy formulas throughout the game. Sometimes random NPCs will give you alchemy formulas if you speak to them, most notably the bird at the entrance to the fairy grounds, the woman in a boat in Castaway Cove with a basket on her head, the dude fishing in Winter Wonderlands, the man standing outside the shop in Hamelin, and there's a hidden formula in Oliver's mum's room back in Motorville. The main thing I do want to mention though is Old Father Oak. Visiting Old Father Oak is one of the first things you have to do in the game, and although Old Treeface does advise you to visit him every now and again to tell him of your progress, we are never again prompted to do so. In the earlier sections of the game, returning to Father Oak can be quite a trek, and therefore it can save gamers a backtracking headache to know exactly when is the best time to revisit him. If, like myself, you don't think additional dialogue is a good enough reason to trek all the way back to the deep dark wood on foot, then the best time to first revisit him is after completing Old Smoky, where he'll give you some phoenix feathers. In my opinion, the only other time worth going back in the earlier parts of the game is after getting Mornstar, when he will give you a page from the Wizard's Companion and a familiar gem. But at this point, travelling from place to place is much easier. He does give other gifts occasionally, but it's entirely up to you whether or not you think extra dialogue and items such as bars of chocolate and pixie dew are worth the journey, especially when considering that they can be purchased or alchemised anyway.
A gift.
So, there we have it. There's 6 more things I wish I knew before playing Ni No Kuni Wrath of the White Witch. I hope these tips have been helpful, but if you have any questions or get stuck on the game at any point, then feel free to comment on the video. I will respond and help where I can. I'm also currently working on doing a cheeky full playthrough of Wrath of the White Witch as an ongoing series to serve as a guided walkthrough, and yes, I will be doing audio commentary and putting on silly voices to narrate written dialogue. I'm not entirely sure when this will begin, it is a huge game as you know, so do subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss out on that. Thank you so much for supporting our channel and for checking out my tip video. I've been Heather at Amalgamingle, and thanks for watching.